Hello and welcome to a special episode of Popcorn Podcast with Lee and Tim, where we sit down with the director of Argylle, Matthew Vaughn. I'm Timmy Fland, movie buff.
And I'm Lee Livingstone, entertainment journalist.
And we love to talk all things movies.
In Argylle, reclusive author Ellie Conway is swept up into a world of espionage when the plots of her fictional spy novels begin to mirror the covert actions of a real-life spy organisation. Accompanied by a mysterious spy named Aiden, Ellie races across the world to stay one step ahead of the killers as her imagined world and her real one begin to blur.
Argylle is directed by Matthew Vaughn from a screenplay from Jason Fuchs.
Argylle stars Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, Bryan Cranston, Catherine O'Hara, Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa, John Cena, Ariana DeBose, Samuel L. Jackson, Sophie Boutella, Richard E. Grant, and Claudia Schiffer's cat Chip.
I still can't get over that fact. And also the fact that Matthew Vaughn's married to Claudia Schiffer, but anyway, I've had a lot to take in this week.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Matthew Vaughn, of course, you have been beside yourself about our guest today, haven't you?
Oh, yes, I have. It's absolutely true. You just couldn't wipe the grin off my face when I was chatting with Matthew Vaughn. I enjoy his films so much. You know, Vaughn's the director who, of course, has brought us the Kingsman series, Kick Ass, X-Men First Class, and one of my all-time star-studded favourites, Stardust.
I know. Stardust is one of those sleeper classics, I feel, that not enough people talk about. It's so good. Yeah. I love it too.
It's like the modern Princess Bride or something.
That's it. That's a big call, but I absolutely agree with you. Now, Vaughn is kicking off a new franchise with the cheeky meta action-packed Argylle. Wait, where does he find the time for all these franchises, though?
Well, that was exactly my question to him. He's also a prolific producer behind some huge critical hits like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels with his bestie Guy Ritchie and Rocketman, you know, the Elton John biopic with Taron Egerton.
Yeah.
He's a really busy man.
That's one way of putting it. But Vaughn is perhaps best known for the unique visual flair, right, that he brings to his tongue-in-cheek take on the spy genre. It's over the top, it's colourful. Music and mayhem are two words often associated with the filmmaker.
Yeah, so in this special interview, Vaughn shares his inspiration for those visually stunning sequences that are in Argylle as well, and the surprising items on his movie-making bucket list, and the TikTok wedding trend that he's really going to have to answer for. Let's take a listen.
I certainly hope you dance as well as you dress.
There's only one way to find out. How are you? Is it 6 o'clock in the morning there?
It is indeed. It is indeed.
I apologise that they've dragged you out of an ungodly hour.
Thank you so much for talking to us today. I'm such a huge fan of your movies. Stardust is one of my all-time favorites, but it feels like you've really hit your stride now reinventing the spy genre for a new era. What more do you want to do? What's on your filmmaking bucket list?
Well, I'm prepping a musical at the moment, so I've always wanted to try and reinvent. Yeah, no, really, yeah, seriously. I'm doing a musical.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's sort of a little bit crazy. If you can imagine Kick-Ass enters the world of The Wizard of Oz, and that's sort of the idea for that. So we're doing that. And then I've always wanted to do an epic sci-fi, but I've never found one. But one day I'd love to play in the world of science fiction as well.
Well, a hallmark of the films that you're currently working on, which is so many, how are you balancing actually all these franchises? And you've just introduced Argylle as another franchise, presumably.
Not with these, actually. It's becoming, I am actually off to LA after this to discuss what I'm doing with my company, because suddenly we have a lot of IP and things, movies that should be made, but there's only X amount of time in the day that I have. So I do need to build in more of an infrastructure, and we're meeting people because there's some movies that need to be made that I physically can't, and it'd be a shame for them not to be made.
A hallmark of your films are these stunning, visually amazing action sequences. Where did the idea for that colourful smokescreen dance fight come from in Argylle?
I have no idea. It's my mind works in mysterious ways, and I normally see things that inspire me. I go, oh, and that goes in my head and it will pop out. So on this movie, for example, when I was watching a Taylor Swift documentary with my kids and I saw a cat in a backpack and I was looking at that going, is nobody else thinking this is really weird and different? And I went, well, I'll definitely use that in a movie. And with the smoke, I think I saw some military footage of a helicopter. They had these unbelievable like smoke grenades for landing, showing where they are, and they're bright colored. And I remember thinking, God, that's so beautiful. In this movie, I wanted to do what I call some feminine action. So there was like, I think, a smoke dance and an ice skating or oil skating, whatever you want to call it, sequence.
In a ball gown.
And is a way of doing a sequence that a woman is feminine and proud of being a woman, not just doing what I call the Hollywood thing when they James becomes Jane or Philippa, and that's the event of the screenwriting. It's just changing the name. So yeah, that was one of the goals of this movie.
It reminded me of the heads exploding in Kingsman with the beautiful color.
Exactly. It's like
beauty and violence.
Yeah, they seem to go hand in hand sometimes. I don't know why, but that's when you put it that way, beautiful violence. Yeah.
I have to ask just before I wrap up about the Whirlybird dance move. Where did that come from, and why that particular move? Because I can see a lot of wedding dances gone wrong coming
in the
up.
Future. Oh God, yeah. I apologize in advance if that does happen. So the Whirlybird, again, I was trying to start the movie in a way to grab everyone's attention and everybody think, well, he's finally actually lost his mind. The whole movie was constructed around disco songs. So I was listening to disco and I was looking at disco films and videos and I saw a move similar to it. And I went, that's interesting. You're not going to forget that. And I can incorporate that move one day into an action sequence. This is going to work. And then on set, the writer was begging me not to do it. So this is just ridiculous. Then I got excited, and then I came up with the line, only the Whirlybird catches the worm. And he's like, oh my God, you can't write this. We're going to get laughed off the screen. We want people to laugh with us, not at us. And then I got nervous because everyone is right and everybody's wrong creatively. You never know. And I remember in the first test screening when we started the Whirlybird and stuff, and I was like, oh my God, are we going to pull this off? And people seem to like it. So the Whirlybird is now part of culture, it's I'm thinking about going, I cannot get the Whirlybird. And thank you, Henry Cavill and Dua Lipa for doing it as well. You never I think when I showed it to them, because we were all wearing masks, I have no idea what their real reaction was. But they did it. And they did it with a plot.
Did they use wires for that one, or was that all them?
Henry Cavill is literally Superman. We would literally think, okay, we're going to get Worry. We're going to get you some wires and we'll pull her up. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he just went, whoop, bang, placed her on his. It was like, oh my God. The spinning around bit was the hardest bit because you're in a nightclub and he's looking up, and you do obviously look up and spin around, you can get dizzy. So there were a few takes and he was terrified. He did not want to drop. Because it's quite a big thing to have the world's biggest pop star doing the Whirlybird in your shoulders.
Yeah, it looked fantastic and the film was fantastic. I had such a great time. Thank you so much for your time, Matthew.
Appreciate it, and thank you for getting up so early.
Who are these people?
Real life spies.
Why would they care about me?
Because you're a goddamn fortune teller, Ellie.
Okay, let's just hold here. Kick Ass enters the world of Wizard of Oz in a musical. I don't know what that looks like, but if anyone can envision it into being, it's Matthew Vaughn.
Absolutely. I really want to see what that looks like. We said earlier in the episode that music and mayhem are Vaughn's calling cards, but maybe we need to change that to beautiful violence.
I know. That's a beautiful coin of phrase that just got conjured up in your chat with Vaughn. Do you know what? The video interview obviously is available to watch, friends, and you do not break your smile the whole time you're talking to him. It's such a joy to watch you have a chat.
It's not often in my line of work anymore, which this is maybe going to sound a little bit sad. It's not often that I get really excited and fangirl out over celebrities or actors or filmmakers because it's just my job now. Yeah. And they're just people. That old chestnut.
Of course, they're just like us.
Just like us. But yeah, I really fangirled out over talking to Matthew Vaughn. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, it was so good, Lee. And we hope you enjoyed this special interview with visionary filmmaker Matthew Vaughn. You can watch the full interview on YouTube, like I said, and listen to our spoiler-free review of Argylle on all good podcast platforms.
And Argylle is in Australian cinemas from February 1st.
As always, friends, thank you so much for listening.
We'll catch you next time.
We are now on YouTube, where you will find our latest celebrity video interviews. Simply search Popcorn Podcast with Lee and Tim and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing.